Hey guys, Sandy here, and welcome to another episode of Oh So Inspired. This is for May 2019, and today we are being inspired here by Jenny Hufford. She created this great layout with some frames, and she used some patterned paper, did some journaling in there. She also has a little bit of embellishment. So I am totally inspired by the frame portion of this, which is right here. So I've pulled out these Heidi Swap frames. Got them at Tuesday morning, and I have like a pack and a half because a friend gave me a pack. So let's see what I can do.
I decided that I really needed to do something fun with these frames. The colors didn't exactly go with everything else I'm scrapbooking right now for this New York trip. I'm using Chamel's Sparkle City collection to really just scrapbook this trip so that it has a cohesive bit. And that was just so you could be able to see in my albums that this is a story within the story of our chronological year. However, I have completed so many layouts, it might be getting its own album after all. But that is neither here nor there. So that is what I decided to do with these frames. I decided that the gray and white striped one would go great with Sparkle City, but these ones I needed to change. So I didn't want to paint them. I decided to emboss them. This is Brutus Monroe Mermaid Tail embossing powder, and it is gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. And as you can see, it didn't cover completely. I'm actually going to do 2 or 3 coats of embossing powder on each of the frames that I do. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch me do 9 layers of embossing on 3 separate frames. I'm just going to show you this because I just really love watching embossing powder get all smooth and melty. It is a fun thing to do, and I just really enjoy it. So now I'm back with my white background, and I'm just going to trim down the photos and papers that I want to put inside the frames. So similar to like our inspiration piece, how she had different papers in there and she created a Halloween theme, I'm just going to pick through my photos and paper and just anything that is screaming New York to me. So I do have this photo of a plaque of the Empire State Building. Now this is Minnie Mouse on top of the Empire State Building, and she was not there while we were there. She was there on a photo. They had all kinds of famous people, celebrities, politicians, all that kind of stuff, all these photos at the Empire State Building, and I thought it was awesome that Minnie was there because I am a big Disney fan. So here is another one of the frames that I embossed, and it is a purple glittery one, and I cannot remember the name. It's either grape soda or grape fizz, and that is also a Brutus Monroe embossing powder. And let me tell you guys, if you guys are into embossing or you want to get into embossing, you definitely need to check out the Brutus Monroe embossing powders. They are phenomenal. They make them in-house. They are local. They have like a local shop, not local to me, but if you're in Pittsburgh, local to you. And they're fabulous. I also used white to cover up the one frame here, and that is just some generic embossing powder. I don't remember what it is. I don't keep the white in its embossing powder canister. It's in a separate container. Don't remember. Now, the Empire State Building die cut and this New York die cut is from Paper House Productions, and I just really, really like the way that New York kind of just lays over top of the frame. Now, on the inspiration piece, she did have a lot more frames than I do here, so I toyed with the idea of adding more frames and having them go completely off the page, up to the top, down to the bottom. Of course, I would have had to do some more embossing, but since I love embossing, wouldn't have been a problem for me. But I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. So after tapping my fingers for a while and thinking a bit, trying to decide if I wanted to use a patterned paper behind the frames or if I wanted to create a background, of course I chose to create a background. Now I've created a similar background to this in the past using the same exact stencil and technique. I just love the look of it when it's finished, and I thought it would be good to do it here. So what I've done is I have 4 Distress Oxide colors. I have a pink, a green, a blue, and a purple. And I don't remember the exact color names, but they will be linked down below. And the only thing I'm doing is randomly putting the color down. And I'm ensuring that I am actually going over and kind of blending into the color that I've already put down. Now this pink does seem to pick up a lot more of the color than the other ones do, so I do kind of blot it off on a paper towel because it does hit the blue and the other colors and turn purpley. Now these are Distress Oxide ink pads, so you could add water to them after you were finished and it would oxidize and make some sort of awesome pattern. But I really like Distress Oxides for the way that they blend. I think that they blend so amazing and they are so fun to create backgrounds with. And I just love doing it. If I could, I would make all of my own backgrounds, but I have a lot of scrapbooking and a lot of memories, so I can't make every single background, but it is super fun to do it every so often. You can also do the same kind of thing with a card background or in a traveler's notebook or a junk journal or an art notebook, whatever you want to do. Like, this is a cool technique that you could bring to multiple platforms. You could even do this as a background on a canvas. So if you wanted to do something mixed media type. And it's great because you don't have to use these colors. Now I chose these colors because, again, I am scrapbooking this trip with the Sparkle City collection. So there are a lot of blues and pinks and greens. Well, actually, there's one sheet of green, but like teal kind of colors, aqua colors. There's a lot in there. So I felt like this was a good thing. And as you can see, you can start to see within those little circle shapes where it is starting to blend, and that's exciting. And what I've done is I'm going back with the pink again just to brighten up that pink some and to blend a little bit more of the colors into each other. Because when I pull the stencil away, it is going to be poppin'. Like, I just love it. Now this Distress Oxide, this purple is gorgeous. I mean, look at that. Look how deep and dark that purple is. And they just blend so great, guys. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how fun this is. And yes, I am leaving my blending all the way in just because I like it. I like to watch it. So while I'm talking to you guys, I'm watching me blend, and I just think that it is super fun. Now, it does look like the purple is overpowering it a little bit, but don't you worry, it doesn't. I really like the way that it turned out in the end. And you could do this as a rainbow, like going from red all the way down to the violet, like as a straight or maybe across a diagonal. There's so many fun things you can do with Distress Oxides and stencils and blending. It just makes me want to do it all the time. Now, I'm putting more of that pink on because really it feels like the pink is probably the lightest color and it's the most easy to overpower. It's the most easy for any of the other colors to go over top of it and totally change it from pink to the blended color. So I just needed to add a little bit more of that. And then, of course, I go in a little bit more. Now, here's the thing, guys. Like, you could sit there and blend like a maniac for hours and hours and hours because it's fun. But you just gotta stop. So I'm going to stop here shortly. And while I am wrapping up this ink blending, oh, there goes the pink one more time. While I'm wrapping up this ink blending, I just want to remind you guys to check out everybody's link down below. The Oh So Inspired team gets together once a month on the 15th of every month, and we have an inspiration piece, and we create something off of that inspiration piece. It could be a color, it could be direct like lift of that. So if it was a card, you could do a card lift, whatever it is. Oh, look at that. So I've pulled off the stencil, and the stencil does not go all the way to the end of the page, so I am going to have to trim it. Now, I say I have to trim it, but I really didn't have to trim it. I could have left that white there as kind of a frame. And I thought about that, but I also thought that it kind of needed something to contain its awesomeness. And it is awesome. Just look at that. I just think it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, like I said, it is Distress Oxide ink, so you could have sprinkled some water over the top and done something to make it oxidize, but I like this. I like the crispness of it. So I decided that I was not going to leave the white on there as a frame, but I would trim it down so that the oxide colors went straight off the edge. And at this point, I'm looking at it and I'm trying to figure out which way it needs to go for some reason. Just who knows? It's all the same, Sandy. Like, just pick it and go. Oh, you know what I was doing? I know what I was doing. I was measuring it on my my little grid mat down here because I did not measure when I trimmed it. I just kind of eyeballed it. So, yeah. So, I'm using some Swiss Dot cardstock, and this is from My Mind's Eye, and it is this deep purple cardstock, and I think that it goes really great with the ink blending that I've done on here. Now, my fingers are stained. I do have to tell you that when I went to rinse off my stencil, and I did wash my hands because I didn't want the ink touching down on the white. So my hands are washed but stained. Now, here we go. I'm bringing my frames back in, and I like this a whole lot better than those frames sitting on that stark white background. It just looks good to me. And I really think that even though there is a lot of white in that background, that white frame is popping on top of the Distress Oxide. So I just go ahead and add some more adhesive to my little New York embellishment here and lay that over top of the frame. Now I do put some foam squares back there just so there isn't any, like, it's not going to droop. The New York isn't going to droop. It's going to stay stuck. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, something is off still. Like something, and I can't exactly figure out what it is. And I'm sitting here, I'm going, something is weird. Like, I don't like this. Something is off with the frames. The background's popping. I like the, the square and the rectangle. And the only thing I do is switch these guys over, and that makes it so much more pleasing to my eye. I just feel like it's balanced a little bit more, and I know that I have a lot of thoughts to put down on that paper, but it needs a little bit of embellishment. Not a whole lot, but just a little. And these stickers also from Sparkle City say shine all night, or shine all day and glow all night. And I figured that would be appropriate because the Empire State Building does shine all day, and then at night it's lit up so it glows. So that's how I work that out in my little mind. And then I'm thinking, you know what? This might be all it needs because I really want my background to be the statement piece. I've got this beautiful background. I've got these awesome frames that are just popping on top of it. I mean, like popping. It just looks really good to me. So I'm committed. I'm loving it. I'm thinking that this is going to be great. With the other layouts that I have of this trip, some of the other layouts are like super, super embellished. Some of them are only mildly embellished. So I'm okay with putting this mildly embellished layout into my album because it's going to fit in perfectly. So there we go. And then I have to make sure that I pull off the backings of the foam squares because, you don't want your New York to fall off the page. So I'm getting that adhered down as well. And I am just really, really liking this layout, guys. Like, I'm just really liking it. Now, on the frames, there are some times in certain lights you can kind of see the polka dots on the square ones poking through, and that's okay. I could have just kept on embossing over the top of it, and it would have eventually smoothed out everything. But the frames themselves were embossed, so I'm okay with it. Plus, I think it adds a little fun bit of extra and a little fun bit of texture that I didn't have to think about adding. It's just there for me. So that turned out fantastic. Now I'm thinking about adding some of these enamel shapes. I've got some dots, some hearts, and some stars, and I'm adding them, and then I'm not loving it as I'm doing it. It's just not right. So I'm pulling that off as well. And then I try to add some white hearts, but they're just not doing it either. Like, I feel like everything I'm trying to add to this page is really just distracting from the frames in the background, and really that's what I want to highlight. So then I need to add my journaling, and I do fill up the entire frame with the journaling. And if I had my layout anywhere around me, I would read it to you. Don't know where my layout is. It's over in a stack of layouts right now. So yeah, but anyway, I just journal about how awesome it was to go to the Empire State Building, and how breathtaking the views were, and how cool it was that they had all these photos of celebrities and politicians and such things that had been there. And of course, being the Disney fan that I am, I snapped a photo of a photo. And I do say something along those lines that, like, yes, this is a photo of a photo. That is a good amount of journaling for me for this layout. I've probably repeated some of the same sentiments in other pages in this little series that I've been scrapbooking. But there it is, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you check out everybody's links down below. And I will see you next month for another Oh So Inspired. Just look at that background. I love it so much. Okay, guys. Talk to you later.